Hi, ladies. Good evening. Hi, Lindsay. Hi, Kristen. Hi, Meredith. Okay, so while everybody's jumping on, I'll just go ahead and introduce myself. If you haven't met me yet, my name is Hannah, and I'm one of the support coaches, and so I'm going to be hanging out in the chat today. We do ask that if you've had coaching in the past 3 days, that you would just not submit a question, just so other ladies can have space in the call tonight. And then also, if you don't get your question answered tonight, definitely lean in and receive from what some of the other ladies are getting, because there's such an invitation for you to be able to get something out of that, and it's just so good, and there's so much fruit from it. So yeah, but I'm excited that all of you are here, and I'll pass it off to Bree.
Yay, thanks, Hannah. Appreciate it. Awesome, guys. Welcome to the Encounters call. If it's your first time, encounters is a really big word, right? Like, what are they talking about with encounters? So we're going to dive into some visualization tonight with connecting wounded memories to love. That's what we're doing here. It can take on a lot of different forms, but just wanted to share that in case you were like, what do they mean by encounters, right? So this really is dealt with in topics 5 and 6, or weeks 5 and 6. And if you're not in those weeks yet, you are so welcome here. We want you here. You'll see that most of our calls, we utilize some kind of tool regarding encounters. So this really goes across the board for everything. I am going to put some background music in the chat if you want to have that, just some ambient noise, ambient music for you, if that is helpful and sweet. And I do want to take some time just to speak over your hearts tonight. So yeah, Meredith, awesome. I'm glad you're here. It's good to see you. So yeah, if you just want to get comfortable, whatever that looks like for you, put my feet up here. And you can close your eyes if that feels comfortable. And I just want you to become aware of your breath. So just like in a basic yoga class, they're gonna keep reminding you to come back to your breath. So if you are sitting down for the first time today and your mind is going in a bunch of directions, I just want to give you an opportunity to just come back to your breath and notice your inhale. And notice your exhale. Just be present with yourself for a moment. First, be present with yourself physically. Just notice if there's any pain in your body or stiffness. Notice if there's anywhere that feels really good or comfortable or safe. And I just want you to check in emotionally. Where are your emotions? Are you feeling connected to them in this moment? Are you feeling not connected to them? There's no judgment. We're just observing. We're just getting curious. And then just check in spiritually. Does it feel like there's a lot of ease and connect with God tonight? Does it feel challenging? Again, don't judge it, just look at it. Oh, that's where I'm at. Okay, that's all. And if you don't already have your hand on your heart and you'd like to do that, feel free. Yeah. I just want to, I'm going to speak a word over your heart, and I just want you to pay attention to any images, any definitions, any understandings that come up, so you can recognize how your heart currently thinks about this word. And that word is expectancy. Just kind of take note of what that means to you. And I want to remind you of something that I share on onboarding calls. Maybe your onboarding call was 5 months ago, maybe it was yesterday. But I say it each time, and that's that you have this opportunity, just like Hannah spoke of a moment ago, you have this opportunity to receive every time you are on one of these calls. And so there's a way that you can posture your heart where no matter what happens, you know you're going to be rich by the end of this call. And so I want to invite you into that expectancy. And I want you to just let your heart receive that hopeful expectancy. That there is a gift for you to receive tonight, and it may come in an unexpected way. I just want to give your heart permission to actually come here and receive tonight, whether you're coached or whether you observe. There's still something here for you, that you being here matters. Yeah. And I just want you to think for another moment about that statement. No matter what happens tonight, I'm going to be rich by the end of this call. I want you to let that statement fill you. What does that make you think of? What does that make you feel? And then I'd love for you to take a moment to bless your own heart. What is something beautiful and life affirming you could speak over yourself? I just want you to take a moment to do that right now. Yeah. Awesome. I just want you to bring your awareness back to your breath. Yeah. And I'm just going to count down from 10 breaths, and then we'll open our eyes. So 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. You guys can open your eyes if you'd like. And as always, if that experience was anything for you, helpful, not helpful, challenging, amazing, anything in between, I'd love to hear in the chat. I just think when we share our experiences, it can normalize this kind of thing, because, like, let's be real, we're learning to talk to our hearts. Like, what is that, right? We're talking about many invisible things. So the more we can kind of share our experiences, the more it can kind of help ground us and familiarize us with making space for ourselves like this. Kristen, it felt hopeful. Shannon, it was calming. Awesome. Elizabeth, my body feels ready, pliable, and my heart also feels hopeful and tender. I love that. That's really cool. Ready and pliable. Eva, empowering. Beautiful. I love it. Okay. Brittany, I'm really starting to learn to love breathing exercises. So refreshing and helpful to connect gracefully with my heart. Yeah, so agree. I love how you wrote that. That's awesome. All right, we're going to go ahead and start coaching. Remember, just as we've just as both Hannah and I have talked about tonight, there's something here for you too. So anytime I walk somebody through an encounter, if you connect to any part of that woman's story, please join in. You can close your eyes. You can enter in just as much. I want to read Karis's comment here. It still feels weird to me, but I'm here. It is nice to be outside in the breeze and sun. I love it. Straight up honesty. I think it is weird. Yes, Jessica, calming but weird. Totally. Thanks for being honest, you guys. I appreciate that. That opens things up when people can be real like that. So I appreciate you guys sharing. Okay, Kristen, we are going to jump in with you if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Bree.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. I just woke up because it's midnight here, and I just really wanted to be on this call. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's why my hair looks weird.
Oh, I was like, that's adorable, actually. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, thanks. I've been wanting to get on this call for many weeks. I love the Encounters call. I think it's such a beautiful space. I'm so excited to be here. I was just wondering if I could get some advice on some encounters that I've been trying to have when it comes to my trigger of sleeping by myself. And you and I've talked about this before. So I have big trigger when it comes to sleeping by myself because of some trauma that happened with my parents. And now I'm back living with my parents in that room where the trauma happened. But because of I've been connecting with my heart and because of Alive and Free, I have now closed the bedroom door, which sounds silly, but it's actually a big deal.
It is. That's awesome.
And so and it's been 2 weeks now, and I'm still doing great. But my heart is still wanting more freedom. I find myself checking under the bed. I find myself checking in like the cupboards. I find that I need to have the same routine. I need to use the same calming oils or whatever it is. Like I feel like I need these things. And it's great because it's actually helping me and I don't feel like it's unhealthy. But anything that would trigger me out of it causes me, I haven't opened the door yet. I would if it felt very like anxiety given, and it hasn't. But I haven't been able for a couple of days now to kind of connect with my heart in an encounter. I've tried. I've done it. But I think there is some resentment there with God from my side, not from his side, where I go, man, I've been through a lot. And it's like my heart is saying that she's sad. Like, man, like that was a lot. And I had to go through that. And it's sort of like a feeling like, where were you? Even though I know he was there. And I'm so happy for the breakthrough that I had, but I would love to talk about what are the next steps, because I think I'm ready for it. And I know in a couple of months it's going to look different. I'm not going to be living here. I'm going to be living in an apartment by myself. That's going to look very different and more scary to me, because then I don't have a safety net. I can open the door. I have people around. That's not going to look like that there. But last time I talked to my heart, I found that there was lots of things that were keeping me from connection. And, you know, I don't want to trigger anyone, but in my relationship, there were some things that happened that I didn't give consent, or it wasn't healthy. So when it happened, I think I sort of disconnected in order to not feel what was happening, especially in intimacy and things like that. So there's lots of trust issue there, and I feel like I've disconnected. And like I shared on the Facebook group today, that I just feel like I put on these different Kristen out to people please. And then I don't like the person that's behind it because now I created this like perfect Kristen for everyone. So I'm like, oh, I don't want to show this Kristen because he has a lot of flaws. And I'm okay with that, but I'm not okay with everyone else's.
Mhm.
So if I can't be okay with me and my own heart, it's very hard for to reach to God, but also to deal with this sleeping thing.
Mhm.
So it's like part of me is like I'd love to step into um, explore more things for myself in um, sleeping by myself and like being more brave because I have a goal and I really want to get to that goal.
Will you share your goal again with everybody?
Yeah.
I love it.
My goal is to sleep by myself in a hammock outside and just enjoy and like be very proud of myself. If I even don't sleep, I don't care. Just being able to like, because it's my dream. It's my dream to like be outside and sleep outside. So one step at a time, but that's my goal. So
Yep,
yeah.
I love that. I'm just jotting a note down here real quick.
Yeah.
So in your encounters that you have been having, your heart is shutting down because you feel this disconnect with memories of your former relationship, and then also with not being as far along with the sleeping thing as you'd like to be. Am I hearing that right?
Yeah, it's the flashback of things that are happening in the relationship. And then there's also this part, and I don't like to admit this, but there's this part of me that's saying, "Where were you, God?"
Yeah.
And even though I know that I know that I know that He was there, there's this thing of like, there seems like there's no one stepping up for me here, and
Mhm.
that sucks.
Mhm.
And why? Like when we were in that first couple of minutes in the encounters, right now, I have this like feeling of this hopefulness for that intimacy with the Lord. And I'm so desperate for that. And I love that. And I can't wait to have that. Right now, it feels like a barrier on my side. And I think I kind of know obviously what it is. It's fear and rejection wins, but that's basically the two things that are like, yeah, kind of tricky right now.
Yeah. Well, do you feel open to exploring this in an encounter right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let's go ahead and have you close your eyes. And you've done a lot of connection. You put a lot of intention into connecting with your heart and listening to it. So I want you to lead this more than usual. And I'd love for you to begin by speaking over your heart just for a few moments to just give it permission to receive.
Heart, thank you for showing up today. Thank you for letting me have time with you today. Thank you for being you. I want to just allow you to have this space to receive, not to pretend or to put up a front, but just to have an open posture, hands wide open, knowing that this is a safe place for you. And I just want to thank you for showing up and for being so strong yet vulnerable at the same time.
Yeah. I just want you to ask your heart, when was the first time that you concluded that no one's stepping up for me?
When was the first time you felt like nobody stepped up? I have two big memories. I don't know if I should share both or just choose one of them.
You can go ahead and share both, just like a summary of each. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. When I was very young, like 14, my mom dropped me because okay, I was dating this guy. He was a foster kid. He was living at an institution. My mom didn't approve of him, of us being together. So instead of keeping me safe in her house with him, because I wanted to see him, she drove me to that institution and dropped me off. And that was the first time I was intimate with someone,
Mm-hmm.
and it felt very unsafe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the other big memory is I just wish someone stepped up for me. Oh, I don't want to share this, but I feel like I have to.
You. Totally up to you.
I had a boyfriend pushing me to do something to my body to fit his ideal of what beauty looked like.
Yeah.
And I wish that my parents stepped in instead of driving me to the operation.
Yeah. 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 Thank you, brave girl.
I wish I stepped up for me. I don't know why I didn't.
Yeah. What emotion is coming up right now?
I guess I just feel a little bit powerless to people around me. And it just makes me not want to be me because it just seems like everyone else's opinion matters more than mine, and uh, that just brings a lot of hopelessness and sadness for me.
Yeah. Makes sense. Everyone's opinion matters more than mine. That's a big deal. Yeah. And especially to have mom and dad kind of do the opposite of what you wish they would have done for you, that you wish they would have held the line somewhere. Yeah. It feels
Yeah.
really cool. Yeah. Yeah. Mm. In both of these memories, it feels like you didn't get to have your voice. So I would love to give you the opportunity to take your voice back in both of those situations. And I want to give you permission to speak that out and what you would have said to each boyfriend and to your parents. Does that feel like something you want to engage in?
Yeah.
Okay. You just lead the way, okay? You get to choose where we go.
I feel like I'm in the car with my mom and she's driving me.
Mm-hmm.
and there's a very big, like I remember it's a big hill going up to that institution, and it looks flippin' scary.
Mm.
I can't believe she's dropping me off there.
Mhm.
Um, mom, I want you to take me back home. But more than that, I wish you would have said not to get in the car in the first place. I wish I didn't have to be the one stepping up for me. I wish that you could. What I hoped for you is that I would be so seen and validated by you that I didn't have to go through with being in this unhealthy relationship.
Mm.
And I feel unsafe, and I don't understand why you would push me out of your house to see this person rather than keep me safe in your home with boundaries. Where were the boundaries, Mom?
Mm.
14 years is a very early age to be experiencing those things.
Mm.
And I'm letting you know that I want you to take me home, and I don't want to step into this institution.
Mhm. I want you to pause for a moment, just with your eyes closed. I want you to take note of how you feel inside after saying that.
It feels weird because that's my feelings now, but I know what I felt like then. I was so desperate to see him
Mhm.
that I would have done anything. And I don't know what you think, if that's right, if I should speak like I think now or back then.
Yeah, I think in these moments when we do this, like infusing them with the love and the truth and the guidance that we wanted at that stage, it can really be a helpful thing to do.
Yeah.
To help us keep unpacking. Yeah.
It just feels good to, like, I'm very bad. I'm the first to admit I'm very bad at setting up boundaries, and I can kind of see why. I wish I had boundaries.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I kind of knew that when I was coming home from that, I would meet my dad and he would be mad or judging what happened. But why wouldn't you put boundaries up before that happened?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So hear you. Yeah. Kristen, do you want to speak to the other memory as well? Okay.
I'm on the phone talking to this boyfriend the day before the surgery. And I want to say that I am good enough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only 21. I haven't even, like, I just had puberty. Like, I shouldn't be having to do this in order to please or for you to fit your ideal body
Yeah.
type that you like. I choose me. I choose my own health. And I actually, mom and dad, I just actually think that you should be not judging, but just giving me so much love and compassion and saying, wow, that must be so hard that you're with someone who's telling you these things. Do you know that you're valued, that you don't have to do these things?
Mm.
Do you actually know how sick you're going to get in the next couple of years?
Mm.
You're good enough. You don't need to do these things.
Yeah.
Ugh, it just makes me angry.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that is very legit, that anger. How do you feel about anger?
I'm not. um, I was going to say I'm not good at anger, but what I meant to say was I don't know if I bottle up my anger or
Mhm.
what I do with it, but I don't have a lot of it. It's not an emotion that I'm familiar with, but I think I do have it, but I just express it in different ways.
Yeah. That makes sense. A little bit ago, when you were processing the first emotion, um, I wrote myself a note that may or may not resonate, but I just wrote down, um, her heart may want to grieve that her parents didn't display boundaries for her and teach her that. And that parent grief can bring up a lot of anger. And I just want to encourage you to go on the journey of what it looks like to let your little girl inside be angry and to have that validated by you. And I'm in this journey too, so I just know it from the inside of my own skin, but nobody taught me how to process it. And from what you've shared, it sounds like nobody taught you some things that you really wish you would have known. And the more you can take shame out of your present circumstance and just let yourself learn how to process the grief and the anger, let yourself have that space, I think the more comfortable you'll get with being you. Not just you when things are sunny and good, but you in any emotion. Yeah. So the thing is it's the middle of the night for you, and I don't just want to necessarily leave you with anger to process. So is there anything your heart needs to come back into a space where she can trust and you can sleep and keep processing tomorrow?
I guess it's just a part of me that's wondering what role I played. And that's where the shame lies, because as much as I want to blame everyone else,
Mm.
and I know there's there is people that, like I shared, like I wish that people would step up, but I also want to own or take ownership for my actions as well, and that's where the shame lies.
Mm-hmm.
Because I kind of wish that wasn't my story.
Yeah. 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 I'd love for you in your mind's eye to just picture a container, a really, really big container. Maybe it's a bubble. Maybe it's a shipping container. Maybe it's something else. But I just want you to kind of create a space in your mind where there's room for you and your little girl and every member of the Trinity. There's lots of space for each of you. There's space to run around and thrash and be angry, and there's space for you to cry, and there's space for you to not know. I just want you to see that as a physical space in your imagination. And start to kind of cultivate that whenever these big emotions come up, whether it's shame, whether it's anger, that you can picture that space and know, okay, everybody in here, we're going to make it. We're going to make it. But this is where we have a container to unload all of our other emotions that feel really challenging. Does that feel like something that's accessible to you, or does it feel kind of abstract?
No, it feels accessible.
Okay. I think there's a place where we can tell our heart, okay, I'm going to sleep right now, or I'm leading a coaching call right now, or I need to work right now, and I will come back to this later. And so to create some kind of visual for yourself to know, I am going to come back later.
Mm-hmm.
How you doing over there?
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whether you stay on for the rest of the call or you head back to bed, just know that gentleness is what you get to receive from yourself. Celebrating, wow, I'm closing the door at night. That's a big deal. Nobody quite knows how big of a celebration that is, but you do. Like you are the most celebratory one because you know what it's cost. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To really, really gently affirming yourself would be a really sweet thing as you go to bed, whether that's now or later.
Yeah. Do you think this is kind of that safety in myself that I'm looking for? That voice of being, not heard or powerless. That's what I feel when I tell myself things. I feel like I want someone else to tell me it because it matters more.
Totally. You're not weird for that. I feel like that's very normal in the sense of where all of our codependency comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us in this group, we learn about codependency and we beat ourselves with it. It's the latest label of what I am. But like, man, we were inside of our moms for 9 months. And then our moms fed us on their bodies for however long. Like, we came into this world dependent on other people. So you're in a process of learning to meet your own needs. And that is good and beautiful. And so it makes sense that wanting somebody else to lead you or wanting somebody else to fill a need, it makes sense that that's there. And our goal is not to just never need anybody either. That's the other pendulum swing, right? So that's not our goal either. I think really the goal is staying soft towards our needs and knowing, okay, I can fill this. I can invite God to fill this. I can also reach out to other people. so that in those three, you've got somebody in your corner everywhere you turn. You feel an abundance of like, okay, I'm not going to be left high and dry. I have options here. And whenever you have options, you're no longer a victim, right? And I'm not saying you were thinking of yourself as a victim, but I'm just saying in general, when we have options, that's when we can connect to hope a lot more easily. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I love that. So would, I guess if I practically, if I want to connect to my heart, is it like you and I did right now? Because I'm finding it like the things that I'm telling myself is that I'm not connected. And that's not helping.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I tell myself that God's not here. And I think that's not helping either. How can I visualize that with him? Because I so desperately seek him to be here, and then my rejection wound is like, well, he's not here, so you better cope in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And I just can't seem to press in because I just don't want to be rejected.
Totally. So I can share my thoughts about that if you'd like to hear. Other people would have different things to say. This is so far how I understand it, and it could change later on. So take it with some salt, you know what I'm saying? But we have our body, we have our soul, we have our spirit, right? My spirit is one with Christ. There's no questions there. There's no questions about closeness. If he exists, if he likes me, my spirit knows. In living life, I feel much more aware of my soul, right? My mind and my emotions, and I feel much more aware of my body, right? So we're all on a journey to really connect back to our spirit and let our spirit inform our soul and our body of what's true. So again, I think this is the learning process of growing up and maturing, is we've let the world, our experiences, influence our body and our soul, but really it's to come from my spirit knowing who Christ is, that Christ is with me, that I've always been loved. So there's a way when I'm feeling disconnected from God, sometimes I will sit down and I will say out loud to myself, my spirit exactly knows what's up. It's my soul and my body that feel disconnected. But the disconnection is happening in my mind, right? And I understand how you could feel like, well, Brie, I don't want to play mind games with myself and just tell myself everything's okay when it's not. It's not what I'm suggesting, but like letting your soul flesh out those emotions and those thoughts and look at them, observe them, be curious about them, and also remind yourself, okay, spirit, I know that you know God's love intimately, and I'm fleshing this out. I'm being honest about this. I'm not stuffing my soul down. I'm being honest about all this. I'm getting it out so that I can hear more clearly and receive more clearly. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does.
So it's not like you're doing anything wrong. It's that you're actually growing.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what's happening, right? So it can be very hard on the soul to sit down and to try to feel God's presence. That can be really hard on the soul. I've talked about this before, but like I've experienced so many like worship services where like people are having visions, falling on the floor, like crying, like God came up and hugged them. I'm like, what? And I'm sitting here like, what's wrong with me? Like, I must be too in my head. I must, and then I demonize my brain, and that doesn't help me either. So is there a space where you can compassionately sister yourself and go, wow, my soul feels really far from God right now.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I'm really feeling anger, and I don't know how God connects with me in anger. It feels like he's far away when I feel angry, or I'm feeling that rejection wound again. And some place in using your will, some place in there saying, Father, I don't feel close to you right now, but I want to feel close to you. And I'm going to be 100% honest in both places, that I know that you exist. I know that you're close, but I also am experiencing this right now.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I
I
love
think
what you shared.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I love what you shared. Melanie on a coaching call was saying in the garden, God was actually quiet because he was making and he was tending and he was fixing and doing things. So I kind of I want him to speak all the time to tell me that he's there. But I think sometimes he's just like, yeah. So I love what you shared. That really resonates with me.
Cool. I'm glad. And let that continue to unfold, because there's different nuances that God may share with you about all of that. Yeah. You're doing a really good job. And I love that you woke up in the middle of the night. I didn't realize that. It makes sense to me now that you said it. But yeah, on these calls, you're waking up at midnight, aren't you?
But that doesn't stop me. I'm very happy and thankful to be here. So
That's cool.
thanks
That's
for
cool.
letting me have the time and space.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's great. Great to connect with you. I hope you have really sweet sleep tonight. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jessica, I love your question. Can I share more breakthrough stories of him encountering me, just for some encouragement? This question matters to me so much, and I'm definitely the kind of person that likes to think through and process it. So, Jessica, I'm going to think through this. If something comes to me before the end of the call, I will definitely share it. But I'd like to gather some thoughts and stories, and at the very least, post in the Facebook group, maybe share a video of some stories or something like that, because I think that's a really tender question and it matters to me a lot, that I want to take my time with it. So it's funny when people kind of ask me point blank personal questions, I kind of go blank, and it's not like a nervousness thing. It's just like, I'm like, I don't know. And I want to take my time with it. So yeah, I feel really honored that you would ask, and I'll connect with you in the Facebook group with that. So awesome. Okay, so I think, who is next here? Elizabeth, you are next. Elizabeth, is it Lockmuller? Is that how I say it?
Yes. So in Germany, it would be Lockmuller, but then in America, it's Lockmuller. So they're technically both correct.
Love
So
that.
yeah.
Good to know. It's great to see you.
It's great to see you too. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Wow. What's going on in your heart?
So this was brought up this morning, and it was just like one of those random thoughts. I was like, I'm just going to put this on here just as a random. But then I was really encouraged to really dig deeper into this and just see if there's anything that pops up from my heart. So I had a dream last night, and it was like the very last episode of my dream last night before my alarm clock woke me up for my dentist appointment this morning. So I was sitting on the couch with my dad, and this was like, I think it was like when I was a preteen or a teen, or like I was younger than I was right now, but his arm was around me, and he was just casually just like shaming me and then like comparing me to my older sister. And I don't really know what that was about. Like, I don't really remember the words that he said, but I just felt like I felt so awkward. And then I felt like frozen in that moment. And then my alarm clock woke me up kind of like, okay, that's enough. We're done. So I just wanted to see if there's anything to that.
So fascinating, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, dreams. So interesting. I don't feel super like qualified with dreams, but I've dabbled, right, in my personal life with like understanding dreams. So just want to give that caveat to begin with. Have you gotten a chance to watch the video that Shara did on dream interpretation?
I haven't yet, no, but that's something I would really look into.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hannah, would you mind grabbing that link? It's under Melanie's folder, and I think I don't know why I know this, but I think it's November 23rd.
Okay.
And it has, I'm pretty sure Shara's face is like the picture. So Hannah's gonna look for it, and she'll put it in the chat if she does.
Awesome.
That's just really helpful because she's done like years of dream interpretation and analysis. So that's just fun to watch because she teaches about it and then she interprets some dreams. And so you can kind of get a feel for like the general, how to talk yourself through a dream and break it down.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's really great. I guess I'm curious. I mean, this is a really interesting dream, and you said it was not necessarily tied to a real memory. All right.
Not that I know of, anyway. Yeah.
So what we could spend some time doing is me just asking questions about it to kind of explore. Does that sound
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
Awesome. So what I heard was that you were sitting on the couch with your dad as a preteen. You felt like he was casually shaming you, comparing you to your sister. You felt awkward and frozen, and then your alarm went off. Do I have that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Really good. Really, I love how you bullet pointed your dream. That's really helpful. That's something that I learned when I was starting this, where like as soon as you wake up, like what was the setting? What were the main events? How are you feeling about all of that? And so I want to ask two things. Can you expand more about how you were feeling inside of the dream itself? And then I want to know how you were feeling when you woke up. So first start with like inside the dream. You mentioned I felt awkward, I felt frozen. Anything else come to mind?
I felt like I was in an adventurous dream before that. And like, we were just like, I thought that when we were going to the couch, we were going to unpack our day, like how adventurous it was and how fun it was. And then he just casually just changed the conversation. Like it was super cash. And like, this is weird. Why? This is so strange. And then when I woke up, I was just like, I was like kind of shocked, but then I was like, wait, that was just a dream. That wasn't real. So I was like, this is really strange. Is this a perception or is this a dream or what's going on? And then I was just like, I'm awake.
Yeah. And did you get a chance? Did you have any nudge at all of like, Holy Spirit, what does this mean? Did you get any glimmer of understanding after you woke up?
I felt like the Holy Spirit was like kind of nudging me, like saying that you're looking for like authenticity and validity from people. And like, I'm trying to bridge out of that, like having my parents in that God spot and being like, I think what's been happening is what I've been seeing is like, my dad's been just like now learning through this process of like seeing how people speak to themselves and then having that kind of reflect to their own kids. What I'm seeing is like, even with my students, I'm seeing that as well. But like, I've been seeing like, maybe that's like my dad was holding up a mirror of himself and like the words that have been spoken to him, he's speaking back to me. And then I felt a lot of compassion for him. And I'm like, man, that's so hard to hear that. Like he was the oldest in his family. He was the brother that had to have everything all together, but yet his dad was very discouraging to him. He wanted to go on to get his master's degree, but then he's like, there's no reason for you to get a master's in botany. There's no reason for you to do that. So he just stayed with, thank you for the link, by the way. He just stayed with a bachelor's degree. And then he's like, I regret it. I regret not going on. I regret listening to him. So I don't know if there's something connected with that. Like if like his dad was paying for his college education or whether he was working. I'm not sure all the specifics with that, but I know there are some things that my dad was regretting and he didn't want me to go through some of those pains that he went through. But I think that was the connection that I made in the morning.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And so interesting that your inclination was to go, oh, this is more about my dad than me, and maybe something to know about my dad and how he's operating. I mean, that's interesting, kind of just paying attention to what your heart and brain do with it is really something to observe too. I know Shara shares something that I think is such great advice in that video, that there's three, you like that? There's three levels of dream interpretation. There is what you think it is, right? The things you just shared. And I don't mean what you think it is. I mean your experience of your dream. Asking a friend, somebody who knows you, kind of their thoughts and what comes to their mind, and then asking somebody who doesn't know you very well. So like in this space where we have connected, but I don't know tons of details about your life. Somebody from the outside looking in, what could that mean? So you're going to glean from pursuing all three of those areas to give you like a fuller picture. How often do you feel like you dream and take notice of it and like log the details? Is that more new for you? Have you always done that?
I've done that like probably once a month whenever it's like really vivid, like around my period. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's like it when it's more, it feels more real to me rather than fantasy.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's hormones or whatever.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting. The frozen piece is really interesting. That kind of stands out to me, that you're kind of like, is that like frozen in fear, frozen in like, this is weird, I don't know what's happening?
I think it's like both, like a mixture of both. Like I don't want to like channel this and move this into with my energy into the wrong direction to get him to like be angry at me and to make it worse or to compound and make it worse. I want to figure out a way to make this better. But I've been learning that's actually not helpful at all.
Tell me more about that, what you've been learning.
So I've been learning about like just standing up for myself and my little girl and learning about like I've been learning that with myself, I want to take care of everyone and I want to calm the whole atmosphere and calm the situation down. But then if I'm not standing up and I'm not speaking out what's truthful to me and what's honest in that moment, I'm technically lying a little bit and not sharing what I'm really feeling and what I'm focusing on and how I'm processing it the way that they are inputting into my world. And then reflecting back, I didn't reflect back their words to them. So that's something that I'm learning in addition to it. I think that's going to be really helpful for me to have more of that introspective conversation with just family members and with friends to just first just have that like take the pressure down by first reflecting back what they've been saying to me. And this is how I'm picturing, this is what I think that you're saying. Help me fill in the gaps here. This is what I think is happening, but just let me know. But instead of like trying to put up walls of like protection to try to take away from like the energy that I feel from other people. So I try to be the calm person in the group, but then now as an adult, I'm trying to take that back and being like, you know what, I'm not responsible for your reaction anymore. I love you so much, but I am not your savior. I didn't die on the cross for you. You have to choose him. I can't save you. So it's interesting going from trying to help everyone and fix everyone and save everyone to being like, I'm only responsible for me. I'm responsible for helping my heart and for taking care of me. And I love you and I want to help you and I want to give you the tools that you need, but I have to take care of myself first.
I want you to close your eyes real quick, and I want you to share with me how you feel on the inside after sharing that.
My heart feels, I'd say my heart feels really peaceful. Like it feels joyful and it feels really affirmed. And it's like, yes, thank you for validating my feelings. That's what I want to just share and express with the world. Like I need to take care of myself first, and then I can help you, but you have to be willing to put in the work to do this work. And I can help you. I can come alongside you and to help partner with you, but I have to be able to take care of myself first and to take care of my little girl first. Sorry.
No, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted you to have another taste of that, of you giving yourself all that validation.
Empowering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this could be weird and this could be totally off.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were to envision that dream,
Mm-hmm.
is there any part of that empowerment that you want to bring into that dream if you were to recall it as though it were a memory?
I would probably just repeat the same thing that I'm sharing here of like, okay, Dad, here's what I'm hearing you say. But as for me right now, I have so much peace and joy about how God's brought me here to this moment. I know I'm a teenager right now and I'm an adult right now, but all of the good plans that God's been putting in my heart is coming to pass. And I really appreciate your partnership. I appreciate you working alongside me. I appreciate you helping me. But I'm an adult and I'm doing really well. I'm helping myself to learn and to grow. And the Holy Spirit's helping me along this path. I appreciate your role in my life, but I'm good. And my sister is a different person, and I'm a different person. And we can both share the same space and to just cheer each other on and be different people.
Fascinating. Something to just ponder. If this dream continues to bother you, and you didn't ever tell me it was bothering you, you were curious about it, so it may not bother you in the future, but if there's any like lingering curiosity about it, I would just ask Holy Spirit, like, is there something more I need to speak into that dream, that memory? And again, I don't know. I just think it's interesting. There's something powerful when you're like, and I'm learning a lot about this, and I'm like, tell me, what are you learning? Like, bring it out, like that. That's something we get to infuse in old memories and maybe in dreams too. I don't know. I'm new and exploring this as well. But something to think about.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Were there any more thoughts you wanted to share about anything?
I just feel really affirmed, and I want to say thank you. Like, it's like, yay, I can just speak over my heart and just affirm it and just be like, you know what, it's okay. I've got this. I appreciate your input and your love and your advice, but I've got it. I can take care of myself. Thank you. And yeah, it just feels so good to just like take that bridge from like having God in his rightful space and his rightful role. And then I don't know, it's interesting.
Beautiful.
It's awesome. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, keep enjoying it. Yeah, it's a really good settledness. It looks beautiful on you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Great to connect with you. Love that.
Thank you.
Get your sweet comments too in the chat, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So fun. So fun. And so fun, you guys, to see your faces. Rev, I don't want to call you out in an awkward way. I noticed you. I was thinking of you, and I loved how you were like nodding and like cheering for her. So I don't want to call you out to make you uncomfortable. I was just so connecting with you, and I loved your like, you were with her in this, which is beautiful. So I just want to say hi. I see you. All right, Jordana, you're next.
Hola.
Hello.
Hi.
How you doing?
Battery low. Please charge.
I'm okay. I'm okay. I really hate men. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
I am as a whole, I'm tired of men.
Yeah.
As a group.
Yeah.
I don't know, just I was looking back through some of the events in my life that I had written down that I wanted to go back and do encounters with, but something was, and I don't know if this even makes sense or if it's possible, but I feel like I was hearing or getting the picture that this like anger that I have is beyond me, like my mother's, my grandmother's, my great grandmother's. and maybe with recent events, I'm just angry and tired.
Yeah.
I'm angry even, with the church itself, and even, with Christianity.
Yeah.
Even with like Paul. Yeah, Paul was a great dude. He had good intentions. He wrote great letters. But he wasn't Jesus. Like, why do we take his word like he's God? He was a man.
Mhm.
So there's just so much. I've told people this before, and I joke about it, that I would never, if I could time travel, I would only go to the future. Like, I would never want to go to the past, because I would not survive more than 10 minutes, because I would be burned at the stake as a witch.
Mm.
The end. Like, and I guess I'm collectively thinking of like women and all the shit that we've had to go through and put up with and protect and fear. And there's just so many dumb things. Like, women don't talk about money. Why? Why don't we talk about money? Like, why don't we invest? Like, why don't women, like, why? I mean, they're at my old church, we had women that would, and which is why I started going there. But I understand the scripture behind it. I get all that. I've studied all that. It's just stupid. Like,
Yeah.
it's just stupid. And so I don't know. That's where I'm feeling. I don't have anything like towards a specific person. Maybe I do. I don't know. But like, I actually haven't had any like men in my life besides like my father and like my brother-in-law and my nephew, like right now, like within the last couple of years.
Mhm.
Just I don't know. I'm mad that if you say you're a feminist, people think that means like you think you're above men, or like, when really it just means you want to be treated equally. Like, I don't want to be treated above a man. I just want to be treated equally. That's
Mhm.
all. That's
Mhm.
it. I don't know. I don't know where this is going. I'm just like, I don't know what I'm feeling. When I wrote down stuff about my grandmothers and some of my aunts, and some of them had gone through things like, having kids out of wedlock, or so many things that like just shaped and molded generations after that. And
Mm.
just so much like helplessness.
Mm.
It makes me mad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then I get to the point where I'm like, well, am I like am I bashing men? Am I like hating men? I don't think so. Like, I don't hate my dad. I don't even hate my ex-husband. Although I totally could, but I don't.
Mhm.
I don't hate men.
Yeah.
I'm just not putting up with anything anymore. And that does kind of scare me, because I'm like, I do want a Christian husband one day. I do want that. I do want a family one day. But not if it's the way most Christian men have been behaving.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't. My mom told me something the other day. She said that I seem more angry ever since everything that went down with my ex-husband 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
She said I'm always like on edge. I'm always angry. I got defensive at first, like, no, I'm not. Like, what are you talking about? But I stopped and I was like, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, that it would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you be angry?
Yeah.
But then I also told her, could it also be that I'm just speaking up more? And I know what I want and I need, and I set up boundaries, even with her, even with my dad. And I'm not afraid anymore to state my opinion or to say what it is I need or want.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that comes off as edgy or coarse. I don't know.
Did you end up saying that to her? Like, maybe
Yeah.
I'm using my voice more? What did
Yeah.
she say back?
She just did her little face, which was like, yeah, well, you could be.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that. But when I told her, like, okay, yeah, maybe I'm right. Maybe I am angry. Maybe it is projecting, and I'm unaware. And she compared me to one of my aunts, one of my dad's sisters, that was just like, shit. Like, I love my aunt, and she's been through a lot, and she's been doing a lot of healing. She's known for being very loud and abrasive. I don't think I am.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But even if she is loud and abrasive, who cares? Like, that's who she is.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe she's just always been like that. Maybe she didn't turn into that because of a man. Like,
Yeah.
that's what's on my heart. And I tried reaching out to Elizabeth earlier today. I don't know what I was feeling. I was just like really like.
Yeah. Would you feel most supported if I just asked some questions to explore this, or would you feel most supportive just continuing to share?
If you can ask questions, that would be great.
Okay. I was really intrigued a moment ago when you said, I'm just not putting up with stuff anymore regarding men. And I would love to hear what those things are.
I'm not. When it comes to, in general, like, I'm gonna have to separate romantically and like dating and like my family, like my dad and my brother-in-law and my nephew and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to them, I'm very comfortable and I can hold space for myself and sometimes even for them because they don't know how to do that. When sometimes they'll say things that are just, it's just like one-off things, and they don't, it's just like deeply ingrained things, and I would just be like, that's actually not true. Or sometimes they'll make like comments that are very like fitting all women into like this, I don't know, like they were weak or too emotional. They don't ever say that outright. It's just and also in the workspace professionally, I'm really proud of myself. This like maybe, yeah, this was last year. Yeah, I, with my, not my direct boss, but the marketing director, I was very, I ended up having to report him, file a formal complaint with HR, and I felt really solid about it. During, after, like even after he knew I did, like I felt really proud of myself for speaking up and saying like what I would and would not accept, especially as being a leader and someone who like had a team of people. I was really proud of myself for setting very clear boundaries with, professionally what you can and cannot do to me. Romantically, I don't know yet because I haven't dated or seen or kissed or held hands with any other man for the last 16 years. But there's a lot of, like, I know some of the things that I know that I will not accept is, now that I'm more in tune with myself and what I feel, paying attention to what it is I'm feeling when I'm around that person and listening to myself, and being okay with like, okay, well, it's not gonna work out. All of my relationships with men in the past have been really dramatic, I guess. And when I was looking back, I think I've had maybe three boyfriends, and then so four. But I realized with each one, they're all totally different. They look totally different. I don't have a type. Except they are all really funny. But I realized with them, I don't know, I like required things from them. Like I need just to know that I like was important. And I don't think I knew that consciously. I don't know where I'm going with that, but I just don't see how I would ever be able to get with a man who hasn't done his own trauma work and, gone through something like this. And like, I love Spencer, but like, he's very rare. He's very rare. I'm not saying that, God, God can do anything, but there's just so much stuff that I'm just not going to just put up with anymore from men, from society, from other women who still have internal misogyny. Like, there's just so many things. I don't know. So I'm just scared. Am I becoming my aunt? Like, and my people would describe my aunt again, very abrasive and loud, angry. Although I would say probably the last couple of years, not so much, because she's been doing a lot of like healing after my grandmother died. And she's the daughter of my grandfather who sexually abused me from what I can remember at 5, but I'm learning that he lived with us since I was born. So definitely probably before 5. I didn't know that he lived with us for like, I didn't know until like maybe last week that he lived with us for like the first 5 years of my life. So it's her dad. So she justifiably has a lot of things to be angry about. And I just had a thought right now, or I guess a feeling. It's like, it's okay that she's angry. It's okay that I'm angry.
Yeah, I was curious about that, like how it feels to be feeling this generational It's not just anger from what you've described, but just this like, can I put words to it and then you can edit it? Is that okay? It almost sounds like you're like, hold up, I'm getting strong inside, stronger than I've ever been. And now I feel alone in some ways. Is
Yeah.
any of that part of it?
Yeah. Yeah, that was a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I'm just like, I'm sort of just right now, like when I was just, I'm thinking of anger and I'm just looking at anger and like hugging him. Or I don't know why I just said him, hugging her. I think I said him because I'm thinking of the movie Inside Out,
Yeah.
red fiery guy.
Yeah.
And I know all of our emotions serve a purpose. I know anger for me usually means there's some kind of boundary I need to set up internally, other people. But for the first time, I see myself like not wanting to fix anger and letting her just be angry and validating her and holding space for her. And because men, it's anger is, in men, anger is acceptable, right? In society. Like that's, it's, but when a man cries, it's weird. In like as a whole. For women, like we just can't be angry. Or we're not allowed to be angry.
Yeah.
And that's something that actually, thinking back with my ex-husband, he never would let me be angry. In hindsight, obviously there was a lot of things happening and manipulation, blah, blah, but I didn't know at the time. But anytime that I was angry about something, like somehow things would get flipped and then he would end up being the one that was angry at me.
Mm.
I don't know. I guess I'm just tired of people like trying to like calm my anger down.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I was just remembering something that when I found out about my ex-husband's like rampant apparent sex addiction. I was at my parents' house and luckily I was in Houston, because if I would have been, I lived in Dallas with him. If I would have been there, and I don't say this in a joking way, but somebody would be dead. Like him, me, I don't know, someone would have been dead.
Mhm.
I was so full of rage. And I remember I threw a glass across the kitchen, and my mom was here, my dad was right here, and they were like, like holding me up, and my dad immediately was like, well, don't behave that way, like, calm down. But then my mom was like, no, you do what you need to do. You let it out.
Mm-hmm.
And her just doing that, I remember, helped me like not feel crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And that I should be mad. And she was angry with me, and I thought I liked it, but I appreciated, and there's just so much deep stuff happening.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't know if it's me. Am I picking it up from just myself? I know, there's ancestral things, and I know that's biblical. I know we have like generational curses, and I know things get passed down emotionally, even. It does not just, physically, but
Yeah. Yeah. I really appreciate, especially the last couple weeks when you've come on and I feel like we all get to witness you like coaching yourself and being like really vulnerable with stories from your life. And it's just so enriching. I have one thought that I can share, but I also just want to check in because I really feel like there's nothing in me that wants to fix your anger either. And so when you put that to words, I was like, yeah, I don't feel that way towards you. I just like want you to have space. So does it feel okay if I share a thought, or does that feel okay? This is super fresh for me with anger as well, like I mentioned before. And Taylor Gibbs actually walked me through encountering my little girl in this space last week. And it helped me not move from anger to compassion, but it helped me bring compassion into anger when I realized, not just in a conceptual way, but I realized like nobody effing taught me how to, like, what to do with my anger. And there was something about me seeing my 5-year-old self not know what to do with it and like exploding inside, and watching my grown-up self like teach her how to get it out, like how to express it. And like what popped up was that she really wanted to jump rope it out, which is hilarious to me because that's like not what I would choose at my age, but that's her world at that age. And so pounding the ground and releasing it that way. And I was like, I'm just like watching this unfold in my imagination. I was like, oh my gosh, like nobody taught her, like, of course, to go back and like help her connect with anger at each stage and what that could look like. And even like when you're sharing, like when my mom like let me be angry and she was angry with me, and then when you said you threw a glass, is that right? Like there's something that like needs to be expressed in it. And I don't know what came to me in my process with this, which again is fresh and new, was that like God can parent me through my anger, but if I don't do something with my anger, it turns to bitterness, and that bitterness is like this wall that keeps the love out. But like God knows what to do with my anger, like he knows how to stay with me in that. So what does it feel like to go on the journey of like letting your little girl self have anger in encounters?
I think I think I feel it would be very cathartic. I have never done that. Or what you mentioned earlier, like almost automatically going from like anger to compassion. Because I know anger is, there's fear or pain under anger. But when I would say that to myself, that I would almost negate anger. Like, okay, yes, I'm angry, but what's deeper? What's the pain? Like, what am I scared of? What's hurting me? Those are good questions. But again, I would just kind of push anger to the side. And I actually haven't done it in a while. Which my stick thing is over there. Haha. I don't use this that much anymore because my dog is like 16 and she scares the bejesus out of her. But I do remember getting this and like, man, when nobody was home, I would just go off Um, and moving period helps me anyways.
Yeah.
But I think I read or I heard somewhere that like emotions are just like energy that needs to be put in motion. So there was a lot of things that I haven't practiced anger wise.
Mhm.
I just shut it down.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to anymore. I'm gonna there's no shame in feeling angry.
Mhm. Yeah. I love it. And I think all the elements that you brought up tonight make a lot of sense to feel anger about. They're not random, and you know, they make a lot of sense. And yeah, especially if there's generational stuff coming up too. Makes sense. Yeah. How you feeling on the inside after this convo?
I feel how do I feel? I feel I don't know. I'm not getting a words. Like I feel really affirmed by like with women in general. I don't know. Like I feel the word justifying is coming to mind, but how what does justified feel like?
Mm. I mean, it sounds to me in the conversation that you feel more permission, like from yourself, to have anger. Does that resonate?
Yeah, it does. Yes. Like the more I think, like yes.
Like permission to learn from your anger and
Mhm.
learn what is underneath it.
Yeah. And I almost see like all these. I watch and I read a lot of like I'm lonely. Okay, I read a lot of like romance stuff, but it's like set back in the days.
Yeah.
I just think I just have all these like women from like olden days. They're just um, and I don't know why, but if anybody watches Outlander,
Mhm.
Mhm.
it's Claire.
Mhm.
I see Claire like
Yep.
oh yeah, permission. I think that's a good like I feel permission from myself, from the world, from God, from you, from all of you lovely ladies.
Cool. I love that. I think it's like a cool cool invitation for you, whatever it ends up being.
Mhm.
It sounds really cool. I'd love it if you felt like keeping us posted on that. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Great to see you. All right, guys. I know there's some good convo in the chat, so fun to see you guys connecting. Yeah, again, I just appreciate each person that is coached. Just you bring something really, you bring us all a gift in your vulnerability. So thanks, Jordana. Thanks, everybody who's willing to be coached this evening. Okay, Breezy, you are next. You want to unmute yourself?
Whoa.
Great to see you.
I didn't think I was gonna be called on. Oh. Cool. Hi. I'm gonna sit up. Yeah, I was doing the encounter homework and I was just a bit frustrated because I felt like I'm such a visual person and I can daydream and I can visualize things. And yeah, it's just like, I'm like, oh, I'm going to be great at this part. And I tried to do it a couple of days ago on Monday and I was just like all over the place. And I also feel like I've noticed with myself that I might start to do stretching, or like take care of my body, and I'll get like maybe halfway through it and then be like, okay, I gotta go do something. And yeah, I'm just having like a lot of trouble learning to sit with myself and not feeling guilty about not doing something. Yeah, and I don't know, all of that too, I have a lot of decisions that I have to make, and I'm just feeling like every time I sit down with myself to even think through those, I'm like feeling overwhelmed and depressed and just like, there's no answer. And so, yeah, my attention span is so low right now. Probably has been for a while. But yeah, I guess I kind of wanted to be walked through an encounter, maybe on decision making. I was trying to work through when was the first time I made a decision for myself, and I just like couldn't quite, picture much. And yeah, so I kind of was like, well, I'm on encounters. I'm doing that homework. I've moved past it. And I kind of wanted practice, I guess, in a way, creating equity with my heart and kind of, yeah, setting the tone for that as I'm getting ready to kind of really try and jump into that.
Yeah, fantastic question. I feel really jazzed about what you asked and how you asked it. So I love that. I think some of my favorite things to tackle with clients are like, this is weird. I don't know how to sit still and do this. Like I love engaging on that because I love the honesty of it. So thanks for bringing it. And what I'm hearing you say is you feel frustrated because you feel pretty distracted when you sit down to attempt an encounter. Is that correct?
Yeah, and just like all over the place. And again, there's like, I don't know, it's just kind of mad or surprised. Like, why am I not visualizing? Like, I'm such a visual person. Like, and I was just feeling like I was going all over the place and like almost forcing answers. Like, oh, this is what I want to hear. And instead of just like, yeah, being heard. And I'm still trying to affirm myself, but I think a lot of times, I don't know, it feels kind of like, I don't know, it's just so hard to do it because I always used like being strict with myself to have success. And so it feels like a slippery slope to like decrease my intensity over myself because I don't get anywhere. And even now I'm on a break from a job and pursuing a career, and I had some goals during this season that I really wanted to do, and I'm still like not doing them. And so it's like, okay, I know I'm not being strict with myself, and now I'm not completing things that I want to. And yeah, so it's just, I don't know, I'm frustrated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hearing you. So you also mentioned feeling guilty for not doing things, like when you sit in an encounter and it feels like a very like passive time, or a time where you feel all of it, you're not producing something concrete. That feels really frustrating to you. Is that right?
Yeah. Just feeling guilty, like, oh, if my room's not clean, like, I know that that affects other people. So, like, I want to make sure that I'm taking care of that. And, like, people are gonna, it's probably codependency, but, like, what are people thinking when I don't have my stuff in order? Like, that I'm wasting my time and I need to get that in order, and then I can, you know, be with myself. But when I have been with myself, it's funny how quickly I get things in order after.
Okay. You said it, not me. That's fascinating. Tell me more about that. That's really interesting.
I feel like if there is a breakthrough, I can just be like, yeah, let's go. Like, I'm gonna conquer the world. So I mean, this is how I was always with schoolwork and things too, of just like, maybe it felt so high stakes that it would take all the way up into the deadline to get me to be like, okay, I got to do it. And then, I mean, it would be awesome and I'd make like a great grade. And I'm like, well, why on earth would I spend 12 hours on it when I can spend 2? So yeah, just like this, I don't know, fear of failure, like feeling awesome once I finish and having breakthrough. But just the process of getting up to that breakthrough point is just like such a war. It's just like, no, I gotta do this. No, I gotta do that. No, I gotta do this. Okay, now I have to do this. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, who's connecting with this? I see some people in the chat are like, oh, totally. Yeah. Some people have two hands up. Yeah. Totally. And I do that. I ask that just so that you can recognize you're not this weird freak of nature. Okay. That's really why, because this makes so much sense, both the way you've processed like your task list, as well as some of the things you're bumping into with encounters. So, you know, you brought up school, which I think is really interesting, because in my opinion, from what I've learned, the Western public education system has really actually robbed us of our imaginations. So it's interesting that was kind of your example, right? Because and it's not that I'm judging the system, it's just we're outgrowing it, I think, of where we are, humanity.
Yeah.
And so, you know, the sitting in rows in a desk and being quiet for most of your day, and you know, there's A, B, C, or D, and one of them is right and the rest are wrong.
Right.
You know, just like very structured. It's like, yeah, it makes a ton of sense why you'd go sit down to use your imagination and your brain's like, whoa, right? Because
Yeah.
it's literally like, I think of it as like an underused muscle in most of us, myself included. So I just want to normalize that small daily practice with your imagination is really helpful, and small daily practice with no agenda is really helpful as well. So if you're just building this connection with your imagination when it's high stakes and you're like, oh, I need to feel pain, come on, this has to work, like, it's gonna feel really like, it's gonna feel like homework. Then you're gonna feel like homework, then you're gonna avoid it, just like cleaning the bedroom, just so all this. So I think those connections you made were really interesting to me, because there's, I think in our Western like Greek mindset, we lose a lot of nuance, we lose a lot of imagination, we lose a lot of color and spontaneity in life, because there's just so much structure. And the structure in and of itself is not 100% bad. It's just we've been lacking in other areas because we've been so seeing things one way. So
yeah. And I find myself like my whole life, I have like fought structure. Like someone tells me to do it this way, I say, oh, cool. Can I also do it this way? And I'll do it your way, but I'll add this on top of it. And I mean, maybe that's like the rebel in me, but it's also just like, oh no, you're not even thinking how cool this could be. So yeah, I agree. Like I definitely resonate with that frustration of being put into the box that I'm not supposed to be in.
And it's amazing, however old you are, it's actually amazing kept some of that rebellious spirit in you, and that's amazing that that's still living inside of you and it hasn't been beaten out of you. And I don't mean beaten, of course, but just like
Yeah.
been talked out of it or trained out of it. So what I'm wondering, what I'm really curious about is like, it's almost like your heart is asking for like, who is going to tease out of me like my design? Like, what is the beautiful side of this rebel part of me, who's like, oh, I'm going to do it differently, like I think that there's a really great quality to that, and I can totally see how it's frustrated you. But I really think it's beautiful that God's preserved it somehow. So on one level of this, I would love to invite your heart to go on the journey of like asking God about your design, and that little bit of like, I'm gonna do it differently. I'm gonna wait till the last minute and I'm gonna rock it. Like that. What is that? What's it for? What does it look like under the lordship of the Spirit? So that's just something for you to like chew on in your daily life and let God drop little nuggets in your path as you move along.
Yeah.
The other thing too, I'm thinking of some practicals, and then I do want to walk you through an encounter just to practice. Bringing your journal with you when you are going to attempt an encounter, as well as a post-it for tasks, so that if your brain is like, I need to buy milk, I need to go to the post office, like if your brain is doing that while you're trying to encounter, you just write it down on your task list, your to-do list, and that's like you're acknowledging your brain, but you're also like putting that thing somewhere so it doesn't have to spin around. So that's just like one practical that can be really helpful. And then when you're in an encounter, narrating to yourself what's happening brings your brain on board with you. So like, and we'll practice this in a moment, but just like starting, giving yourself the starting scene of your encounter, okay? And I know ultimately we all want to really relax into our imaginations, and Holy Spirit can just have full reign and something can just open up for us. But to begin with, you're reawakening your imagination, you're stretching that muscle again. And so saying, I'm going to start this encounter at the beach, and I'm going to be sitting next to Jesus on the beach. And that's where you start. And so using your 5 senses, okay, I can smell the salty air, I hear the birds chirping above me. I can just feel the presence of Jesus next to me. Just like speaking out loud to yourself, narrating for yourself gets your brain engaged and like, oh, she's telling a story. Let's help her. Let's fill in the blanks with the imagination. Do any of those feel concrete to you? Like you could apply those pretty easily?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things that stuck out when you said that. I have written like I want to work on that. I want to work on that. I want to work on that. And now my list is so long that I'm like, where do I even start? And then also just like not having discipline to carve out that time, which is totally on me, I guess. So needing that discipline to carve out my time for it, because like going to all the calls and watching the movies or all the videos and everything, I'm like, okay, we're like, I'm burnt, like I'm sleeping like a rock, like and then also just when you're mentioning Jesus, I will say I have had a very difficult time like having a visual of him, and I'm frustrated because I really do feel very connected with Jesus, and I do feel his Holy Spirit. But I don't know, maybe it's almost like my body's protecting me from actually seeing him. Maybe because he's not going to look how I want him to, or I'm not really sure. The closest image I've ever like, that's Jesus, or that's how I want him to look like, is, I don't know if you've seen The Chosen. He just got the sweetest little smile, and I'm like, yeah, come on, that's what I want Jesus to look like when he looks like at me. But that's like the closest I've ever felt like an image.
Really good. That's really good. I love that you've let yourself use that visual that because it's not just an image. You actually actually connected with that Jesus.
Yeah.
More than you have in other visuals of Jesus. So there's more going on there. Like a picture really does represent 1,000 words. So
Mm.
that's why with all this imagination work, like we're really paying attention to the visuals, because sometimes the visual we have of ourselves or of our hearts is not lined up with truth. And so to see the visual of how we actually think about ourselves gives us a lot of information, right? More words than our brain could ever give us. The visual is really connected to the heart. And so if I'm picturing myself, you know, gray and ugly and, you know, all these things, but that's not like the reality, then like that's something I can be like, wow, that's really eye-opening for me to understand that that's how I'm picturing myself. Like, Lord,
Mm.
what do you have to say about this? So
Yeah.
I think you going with Jesus from the Chosen is fantastic. That's an entry point for your heart to actually make
Yeah.
a connection with someone who right now is invisible to us, right?
Yeah.
So let your that like we're all experiencing the redemption of our imaginations and reconnecting with them. So it's okay to have a starting point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good reminder, because I think I'm like, well, I want it to look like this, and it's not. And then I'm like, well, then I'm not going to open the door until it does. And yeah, I mean, that's definitely my own limitation.
It's probably your logical brain just doing its
Yeah.
job. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're building up our imagination. So both the sides of our brain can come online and serve us instead of
Yeah.
running the show, right? Which in the
Yeah.
West, kind of logic kind of runs the show. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, no, these are good points you're bringing up. And I love that you already like are deeply connected with daydreaming and visualization. You're like, I can do this. So maybe, like you said, just the high stakes of I have to make something happen in this.
Yeah.
Making it feel.
Yeah. I think like I'm very like go with how I'm feeling, emotions, like I'm going this way, like, oh, I feel like I should do that, or I feel like I should do this. And I don't know if, like you're saying, like, I don't know, when you said that, I'm wondering where the bridge of my logic and emotions are, or if there is a bridge. Um yeah, I think I've really let them live in two sides. As you say that, yeah, I think a lot about just like, oh, well, structure and being clean and having a daily routine and all of that is like logic. And then emotions is like, oh, I went to Target and that thing really stood out to me and I really like want to get it. And I see so much meaning behind it. And, you know, like this plant reminds me of life and growth, and I'm in a season of growth, and just totally running with that side. And then logic's like, no, that's like $10. What are you thinking?
Yeah, totally.
So
Totally.
just like a lot of voices in my head, I guess.
Yes, totally. And it's not that we're shaming either side, but just again bringing what does it look like? What does my mind look like under the lordship of Christ? What do my emotions look like under the lordship of Christ? Like, what does that actually mean? And I'm on that journey too. So that's what we're all exploring. I'm kind of leaning towards walking you through an encounter where you just build a space where you can continually start there with the Lord in your encounters, that this is like where I always begin, and then it can develop from there. How does that sound?
I love that.
Cool.
Yeah.
So let's spend some minutes doing that. And of course, anybody who resonates with that, if you've been struggling with encounters and feeling like, how do I start this? Yeah, feel free to join in. I love that. Okay, so Breezy, you can go ahead and close your eyes. And again, there's no magic to the closing of the eyes, but it just helps us focus. And that's exactly what you're doing. Anytime you practice breathing, that's what you're doing, is practicing focus. And so, Holy Spirit, I just thank you for being here. I thank you for your presence in Breezy's life and how you know her so well, and how you know each person on this call. You know the things in their life that have made encounters challenging. And you also have so much grace to pour out to bring ease. And Breezy's heart, I just hear you that you're really wanting to engage with encounters at more of a depth, and just bless your imagination. And I encourage you to bless your own imagination as well in the coming weeks, that this is a beautiful part of you. Yeah. And it was made good. Yeah. So Breezy, we're going to start by just letting you picture your favorite place to be in nature. I feel like it's the ocean from what you've shared with me in the past.
Yeah.
And your name goes perfectly with it. So yeah, I just want you to picture the ocean and what that looks like, and just start describing to me what you're seeing in your imagination.
Definitely clear blue water. I just see a lot of energy that's making the waves kind of go up and go down, but I also sense like a rhythm. Yeah, I love that there's just like animals out there with you. So in a way, even though it's animals, like you're not alone. And I so connect with God through like animals. Yeah, which is funny because that used to be a place where I was afraid. Like I was really afraid of sharks, but now I just like really connect with that safety. Yeah.
I love that so much. So you are in the water, is that correct?
Yeah. I'm on my surfboard.
I love that moment of hesitation. Your imagination got to make a choice. Don't be afraid of choosing what you want as you begin an encounter. That's okay. You're giving yourself a context and a setting in
Like
which
direct.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you're like, am I on the beach? Nope, I'm in the water. I'm on my surfboard. That's right. Okay, cool. So you're on your surfboard. Are you sitting?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just kind of bobbing up and down in the water. You feel the presence of the animals, but there's like this safety you've connected into. And what sounds are you hearing?
Definitely like the ocean crashing on the shore.
Mm-hmm.
But it's honestly pretty still.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you smell?
Ooh, that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I smell like my my sunscreen. Like I love coconut, so we're gonna go with coconut sunscreen.
Yep. It's good. And what are you touching? Like I want you to really connect in with your surfboard and the water and describe how it feels.
Definitely cold. Probably would be having like my hands kind of feeling the water, like going back and forth. Or even just like holding it there to kind of feel like the energy going on.
Yeah.
The wind, definitely the wind.
Yeah.
And the sun. Yeah, the sun kind of heating up my wetsuit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just want you to, in your imagination, take a 360-degree view. If you can turn your head all the way around. I want you to see the shoreline where the waves are crashing. And I want you just to notice how far out you are. You don't have to put a number on it, but just let your imagination like make note of that. And as you turn around, just look at what's to the right of you and to the left of you, and what you see in the horizon line. And if Jesus were to show up in this scene, where would he be?
I kind of sense like like a big wave coming. I really want him to be sitting next to me on the surfboard.
Yeah.
But I am not there yet.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. That's good. Is there a, it's interesting, I don't know why I wrote it down this way earlier. Maybe it resonates, maybe it doesn't, but is there somebody in your life that feels bigger than you in this really good, safe way? Like somebody you find really trustworthy and you look to for guidance?
Mm, kind of.
Okay. If it's
Uh,
like a hard yes, that's okay. We don't have to.
yeah, I mean, I'd say it's kind of a random person that I've just really admired and felt really safe with. But I don't feel like, yeah, I feel like just protected by her,
Yeah.
and mothered by her.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, like ideally, I'd love for it to be a guy, but it's just not yet. I'm sure there's all sorts of reasons for that.
Yeah. It's okay. Yeah. So I just bring that up in the event that if it's hard to connect with the person of Jesus, because for whatever reason your heart feels distant from Jesus or from the Father or from Holy Spirit, nothing's wrong with you. This is about infusing love right there. So if that's hard to connect to and you want to bring in somebody who's parented you really well, somebody who's loved you in a moment, and it doesn't have to be that they're perfect and they've been perfect towards you their whole life, but if there's been a moment where somebody's really cared for you, like I've had people show up in encounters, and not just show up, like I've brought them into my encounters because I had a moment of exchange with them that really mattered to my heart, and so I will let them come in and speak to me in whatever I'm processing in that moment, just
Yeah.
trusting that they have the love and the care for me that I'm needing. And so that actually helps my heart connect,
Yeah.
visually and emotionally.
Yeah. I do like that. I do like not being alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just want you to take one more look around. You can smell that coconut sunscreen. You can feel the cold water. So, so blue. You feel the breeze and you feel the sun. You see that big wave coming. You know that if you want to invite somebody into this scene, they can just come floating on up on their surfboard. That's a possibility for you. There's also more places you can explore. You can snorkel under the water. You can go on the shore. There's lots to do here. I just want you to center in with like, this can be my beginning place. And from here, I can build out what happens next. Does this feel like something you can step back into?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
I'm kind of curious. So I definitely visualized a place that I go a lot.
Mm-hmm.
What's the distinction between like the mental visualization and actually going there and like doing that encounter? Like,
Yeah.
what's the difference?
Good question. I don't know. I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome. It's a great thing to bring in a place you actually know into your imagination, because you are recreating it in your imagination in that moment. So whether it's mental or it's imagination, to me, those can kind of blend. So I'm not really sure, but there's nothing wrong with it. It's a great starting place.
Okay.
Feel free to do that. Even like the simplest way that I've learned and I've been taught this is like, close your eyes in the room you actually are in. Picture where everything is as if your eyes were open and just ask Jesus where he is. Start with that, or ask, whoever you're wanting to bring into that encounter. So that's another just really easy way to have an access point for yourself.
Yeah.
And just kind of the last thing I want to share as we wrap up here, because I know we've gone a few minutes over, and that's not your fault. I'm just saying that out loud for myself so that I recognize to not talk too long. Practice that scene. A few minutes when you wake up in the morning, a few minutes before you go to sleep, with no but just connecting into, okay, I'm sitting on my surfboard. What's one new thing I'm going to notice this time? Oh man, there's a hill over there. Interesting. I didn't see
Yeah.
that before. Let your imagination keep developing the picture.
I like that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Keep me posted. I'm really
Yeah.
curious about journey with the imagination. So awesome. Cool. Thanks for bringing
Thank
it.
you so much.
You are so welcome. Great to see you. All right, you guys. So good to be with you. Loved the questions and loved your involvement and your interaction. So if there's anything that spoke to you tonight, if there's something a gold nugget that you want to pull out of this for yourself, and you want to do that by expressing it in the Facebook group and saying, I just made this connection on this coaching call, or I just learned this about myself through someone else processing, feel free to give your heart that experience to actually like make this concrete for yourself by posting it in the Facebook group and just sharing it with us so that we can celebrate with you. But yeah, it's been really wonderful to be with you. Thank you, Hannah, for your help. And I hope everybody has a really good evening. Okay. All right. Bye, guys.